All right, let's talk about the future of finance. And no, I'm not talking about just another shiny new app or a slicker website. We're on the brink of a massive shift, where AI isn't just a tool anymore, it's becoming a new kind of digital employee, one that doesn't just help out, but actually takes the lead. So, let's dive right in. Just think about it for a second. The last time you had to apply for a mortgage, remember that feeling? The piles of paperwork, the endless waiting, the constant phone calls and emails back and forth with a broker for weeks sometimes. It feels totally archaic, right? Like something from a different era. Well, get ready, because that whole way of doing things, it's about to go extinct. And this is exactly why. Look at these numbers. We're not talking about small little improvements here. This is a revolution. Processing time for a loan, what used to drag on for days or weeks, is now sliced by over 90%. And the actual decision, the part that took hours of a human looking things over, that now happens in seconds. It's a total reinvention of how fast finance can move. So, what's the engine behind all this crazy change? Well, it's pretty simple, really. We're systematically taking the traditional human middleman, the broker, the analyst, the processor, out of the equation. And the hero of this whole story? It's something called the autonomous AI agent. Now, the easiest way to think about this is to picture a digital employee. But here's the key. This isn't some glorified chatbot fetching you data. No, no. This is an employee that has the authority to make decisions and get things done all by itself, 24/7. So you're gotta be asking, why right now? What's so special about this moment? Well, it's kind of like a perfect storm of three big things coming together. First, these agents now have what's called transaction authority. That means they can actually approve a loan, not just pass along the paperwork. Second, they're like these super smart gatekeepers. They handle almost everything automatically and only send the really tricky stuff to a human expert. And third, and this is a big one, they're helping us solve a real demographic problem as a whole. A generation of experienced financial planners starts to retire. Okay, but all the super efficiency creates a really interesting new problem, right? If these AI agents are the new gatekeepers, the ones making all the big decisions for us, how on earth does a company get noticed? This is kicking off what you could call a whole new visibility war. Let's put you in the picture. Imagine you have a personal AI agent, and its only job is to find you the absolute best mortgage rate. Period. This agent doesn't get swayed by a clever TV commercial. It couldn't care less about a bank's billion-dollar brand name. All it cares about is the cold, hard data. So, how does that big established bank even get on its radar? The answer is a totally new field of play. It's called Agentic Discovery Optimization, or ADO for short. And honestly, the best analogy is one we all know, SEO. For the last 2 decades, everyone's been obsessed with search engine optimization, making sure humans find them on Google. Well, ADO is the sequel. It's SEO, but for robots. It's all about making your data so clean and trustworthy that an AI agent recommends you. And this really breaks it down perfectly. The old way, SEO, that was all about catching human eyeballs. It was a game of emotions and branding to get you to click. AGO, it's a completely different game. It's about earning the trust of a machine. It's got nothing to do with flashy design and everything to do with clean, provable data. The new scoreboard doesn't measure clicks. It measures how accurate and trustworthy an AI decides you are. And this is where the whole game gets flipped on its head. Think about the big old school banks. Their websites are often a total mess of legal jargon and confusing menus. It's an absolute nightmare for an AI to try and understand. But the new fintech companies, they built their systems from the ground up to be machine legible. And here's the crazy part. An AI agent will trust the startup's clean data over the giant's messy website. All of a sudden, trillions of dollars in brand equity can mean less than just having superior tech. And the sheer scale of this is wow. 60% of financial searches are now what we call zero-click. I bet you've done this. You ask a search engine a question, it spits out the answer right at the top, and you never even click a link. For companies that have poured millions into ads to be that top link, well, their entire marketing playbook is basically becoming invisible. So, okay, this doesn't just mess with marketing, it completely breaks the way we pay for services. I mean, if you've got a digital employee working 24/7 without ever needing a screen, how do you even send an invoice for that? All the old models are falling apart. Paying per user, per hour, it doesn't work anymore. People are even calling it the seat count crisis. I mean, how do you charge per seat when the user is an AI that doesn't sit in a seat?
It's forcing everyone to rethink things, to shift away from paying for someone's time and start paying for the actual result.
You can actually see the evolution happening in stages. It started with a simple per-seat model. You pay for access to the tool. Then it got a bit smarter, and we moved to paying for consumption, like for every API call. Now we're shifting to paying per workflow, so you pay when an invoice gets processed, for example. But the final frontier, the real game changer here, is paying for the outcome. You only pay if it works, period. And that's what makes this so incredibly powerful. All the risk just flips. It goes from you, the customer, to the company providing the service. Think about a debt collection agent. If that AI agent doesn't manage to collect the debt, you pay absolutely nothing. The company only gets paid when it succeeds. It just perfectly aligns everyone's goals around one thing: getting the job done. But okay, let's pause for a second. An AI that can do all this, that can make its own decisions and get paid for them, that's a lot of power. And with that power comes some really tough ethical questions. It forces us to ask, where does the human fit into all of this? So on one hand, an agent that knows everything about you can find you the absolute perfect product. Awesome, right? But on the other hand, it could also figure out the absolute maximum price you'd be willing to pay for it. So where's the line? Is that just great personalization, or is it a new, sophisticated way to discriminate? And that brings us to the biggest risk of all: algorithmic bias. Here's how it can happen. If you train an AI on old, biased loan data that was maybe unfair to certain neighborhoods, the AI can learn those same biases. It could start charging people in a specific zip code higher rates. Not because it's programmed to be racist, but because the patterns in the data told it to. It's basically discrimination, just cleaned up to look like math. So what do we do about it? How do we stop this? Well, one of the coolest ideas out there is something called an algorithmic nutrition label. It's brilliant. Just like a food label tells you what's in your cereal, this would be a simple, clear report on what's inside the AI. It would show you if the training data was fair, explain how it made its decision, and even show if it used tech to reduce bias. It's a really smart way to build real, verifiable trust in these powerful systems. So where does that leave us? What about human jobs? Well, our roles don't disappear, they just evolve, and honestly, they get more important. We stop being the ones doing the tedious transactions, and we become the supervisors of the whole system. Our jobs shift to governance, to ethical oversight, to managing whole teams of these AI agents. We're not playing the instruments anymore, we're the ones conducting the orchestra. Look, this isn't science fiction. This change is happening way faster than most people think. The tech, the business models, the very rules of the game are being completely rewritten as we speak. And in this new world run by AI agents, the most expensive thing you can do is nothing. Because when things are moving this fast, standing still is the same as falling behind.